Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Stefana and I am the owner / designer for Liaison, the label. Tomorrow we are launching our swim collection, our first ever take on swimwear. We are primarily an activewear brand and we are venturing into the swim space for the first time. And I just wanted to take a second and number one, say thank you for being here. I'm so excited about launch tomorrow. And number two, walk you through all of the designs that got rejected throughout the sample process. Something that I love doing before we launch every single collection is showing you all of the reject products that didn't make the cut, what was wrong with them, and how we fixed them to kind of help you as a customer be able to understand that Liaison's products aren't just items that we throw a label on and we buy it in bulk and then we send it to you. There are months and hours of consideration for every little detail. And so this video is gonna break down all of the decision making that happened over the past year to get us to the final suits that will be launching tomorrow. Bear with me because the samples are rough. Some of the samples were so rough that I don't even have them anymore. Like they were bad. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you one of our first rounds of samples and prepare yourself. Okay guys, so this was one of the first rounds of the Revi suit that we were playing around with here. So I don't know if you can see, this was supposed to be like a sample for a size small and reversible, completely playing around with the idea of reversible swimwear. These straps, can you guys see how thick that is? It's like the width of a literal finger. These are like giant linguine noodles, and when you tie them in a bow, it just looked so horrible. There was just strings flapping everywhere. Look how much string there is. Okay, so this one obviously rejected, and the major feedback notes for this one were these are way too thick and the bathing suit is just way too bulky. Like it's just huge. It was just a really bulky fit, and I was like, I want it to fit a little bit more sleek. So we also ventured in after this. We knew that we had the reversible idea down. I wanted to play around with the idea of the gold detailing. So you saw some of the gold detailing if you watched the try on haul. We did bring that detailing into the Isla suit, but we played around with having that gold detailing on the Revi suit as well. So this was one of the OG samples for the Revi suit. It has the gold circle there and up through the tip of each triangle, and it was also reversible. So you might recognize some of these colors, right? So this color, this teal, I loved it. It ended up being on the final suit for the Revi suit in Capri, this teal color. And then you guys probably recognize this color from Sahara. She's on the opposite side of the Sahara Revi suit. So we played around with the idea of adding gold clasps, but then it left us with raw edges. So you see those raw edges right there? Because this suit was supposed to be reversible, we couldn't really have any type of hardware through the straps because it added seams to the other side of the hardware that just were not super flattering and kind of made the reversible aspect a little questionable. So we ended up getting rid of the circles. And then we also tested out the gold rings on the bottoms for the Revi suit. Once again, this was reversible, except the rings had the exposed seam work around them, and there wasn't really a way to get around that. So we ended up just Xing out the gold rings after a few more samples. I was like, what can we do to keep these gold rings? Turns out we could do nothing. So no gold rings, but maybe you'll see that on a future collection. And then these are just two different sizes of gold rings that we tried out. So this one was completely reversible, and then this one wasn't reversible, just playing with the idea of keeping the gold but not making the suit reversible. Ended up prioritizing the reversible aspect over the gold detailing, and I said, hey, you know, we'll just bring the gold detailing into the Isla suit and leave the Revi suit how she is. So catching up here, we tried the gold rings, and then we had a really good reversible one, except it was bulky and the straps are actually huge. Then the adjustments that we made were to make the suit less bulky And y'all know that these bikinis are already small. They're already micro bikinis. But when I tell you the adjustments that I made, I think I had like bikini dysmorphia. I was looking at this, I was like, it's so bulky. And so then the next one was, it's tiny. It's like, are we going to Brazil? Because this was the smallest bikini. I'll literally put it over my shorts right now. I don't think you guys can understand. Look how tiny that it's just microscopic. And I know you might be watching this and you're like, Steph, babe, the current Revi suit is also small. She is, but I will show you a comparison to this one and compared to this one. So then we also had the Revi suit with the adjusted thinner straps, and this is the width that we went with. Allowing the straps to be thinner also gave them more give. So you can kind of see how stretchy that is compared to how like stretchy this is. It's way tighter because the straps are so thick. So our current Revi suit that has super thin straps are also a little bit more comfortable because they offer a lot more elasticity. So that was our next round of samples, literally the most micro bikini of them all. And it had the stretchy straps and it had the right width of straps, and it also had the reversible feature that we really loved. When you put this on, I don't know if y'all can see that crotch area, it was covering nothing. This whole situation was covering nothing, and I still wore it in public because I was like, I love it, because I was just excited that the reversible aspect turned out really good. But that was literally covering nothing. The final Revi suit added a good almost a half an inch, almost like a really good amount of space, and I'll show you that comparison at the end too. So that was our next round, and then we transitioned into the exact same width of the straps and reversible aspect into a suit that had better dimensions. So this top, this triangle top, we increased the perimeter of this triangle completely, but we kept the point the same. So we expanded down through the bottom by almost like 2 centimeters to give more coverage. And this was the suit that came from that process. And you can kind of see here when the suit is lined up, the difference between the base of those. So this pink one is actually the final size. So this one underneath that you can see is the final size. So that kind of shows how tiny that was. So this was kind of the first one that we were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I love this. It fits so good. It had that nice like lifting feature because it has that thicker band at the bottom to make it reversible. And I was playing around with a couple of these other colors and also the pink. You guys probably keep seeing the pink and you're like, Steph, what happened to the pink? The pink isn't coming yet. That's all I'll say about that. So the bottoms of these compared to the prior round also had a thicker, I don't know if you can really see the difference here, but it's pretty different. That was this brown one, that was the gusset versus this one. So it's way thicker, it's way more coverage, but the bottoms were perfect. They still had those really stretchy string features on the sides. And then we needed to start sampling some of the other sizes. So we got them in the mediums and the larges just to play around and make sure that the fit was consistent. And also make sure that the strings, even on a larger bottom, weren't ridiculously long, because even though this needs to be a size large, right, these didn't need to be 2 feet longer, and that was the problem that we were running into. So the final for them, the strings are a little bit shorter because when you were tying a bow, they were just hanging down. So we kind of shortened those strings, left them nice and thin though, and then we got to do the fun part for the Revi suit, which was finalizing the patterns and kind of working through that. So this was a pattern that we considered in place of Sahara, and you're gonna see this and you're gonna be like, bitch, what? So this is one of the patterns that we played with, and this is the print. This is the same dark maroon brown shade that is on the other side of our final suit, the Sahara Revi suit. So this print we did play around with, and something that's really tricky if you start to use like round shapes, and this is something that we ran into during the sample process, was, I'm trying to look for it. Oh gosh, I don't think I have that one. We got one of the samples and all of these circles were centered so that it literally looked like a nipple. Like it was right, the circle was right in the middle of a lot of the samples that we got for these circular based patterns. So because of that, we had to offset all of the patterns to make sure that it wasn't just like two freaking circles right here, and which some people might not have noticed, but some people would have. And so we wanted to make sure that all of them were offset so you don't have to worry about looking like the print looks like nipply, if that makes sense. So this print did get rejected. It just felt a little bit younger than what we were going for compared to our final Sahara print. So this is just a side-by-side of those. They have similar vibes. They both have that same dark base. I also just thought that the Sahara print really tied in the brown that we went with. So here's a side-by-side of Sahara, and it's brown. We love her. So, but this suit was like a final fit. And actually what happened, my manufacturer, because we were playing around with so many prints, this was the suit that they sent me as the final. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, like tell me that the bulk doesn't have this print, because this was the print that got rejected. And they caught it in time, but I was like, what? Like, hello, like, no, like it was so stressful. There's a lot of aspects about this that go on behind the scenes that like make you want to rip your hair out, but it always comes together somehow. I don't know how. It really always comes together. So now y'all have seen the different sizing, the different widths of the crotch space, the different everything of the Revi suit. And then we started playing with the patterns like I just showed you. And so for example, here was the Vienna pattern with the capri color. So we played around because I was like, maybe that'll match good. We also played around with having the pattern on the string compared to having a solid string. So you guys probably remember that for all of the final suits, the string is the same color as the pattern, so that if you're wearing it on, the string is the same color as the solid color side. So if you're wearing the suit on the solid color side, it looks like all one matching bikini. But this was a sample that we played around with where it was a patterned string with the solid print. It just didn't really look as cohesive as it did when we just did the matching string to the matching solid color. So kind of like this matching vibe versus the pattern string. So pattern string versus solid string. And there's so many details, like so much thought went into this. And it felt like every single round I would find something new. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to worry about the pattern looking like a nipple. And now I have to worry about the strings matching the pattern, or the pattern only being on one side. There's a lot of things that go in to make these bikinis as thoughtful as they are. And so I really, really hope that when you guys get the Revi suit in your hands, you kind of understand and you're like, oh, okay, now I see what Steph was talking about during that one video. So final suits here. This was rejected because we ended up using this for capri, and we ended up bringing the navy jean blue into it. Rejected. Final suits launching tomorrow are the Vienna suit with the matching jean blue. It's kind of like a mix between jean and navy. So this is the final combo for this, and it's really gorgeous on. It's just all that solid blue. It's so flattering. Like if you have pale skin, it looks amazing. If you have dark skin, it looks amazing. I love that shade of blue. And then, so that's Vienna. And then we have, you guys know, we have Capri. So this is Capri, she's gorgeous. And we actually sampled Capri as an Isla suit, and these are the bottoms that we sampled for that. So that was something that we played around with, but it felt a little bit too busy almost. And I think that the solid straps really tied in such a busy pattern in a more cohesive way. So we have the Capri, the Vienna, and of course, Miss Sahara. You guys know her. Nice and easy. This is just the Sahara final bikini. And then we got into it with the Isla suit. So the Isla suit was pretty dramatic. it was so dramatic because with how it works with the sampling process is that you do your designs, you send them, you sample it. You usually sample it in a inventory, like a stock color, like a color that your manufacturer already has that material on hand in that color. And so I was like, okay, just send me samples in black. We get most of our samples in black. So I get my samples in black, bit amazing, right? And literally first try of the Isla suit bottoms were so good. And I was shocked because this one took a while. And so I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, let's sample the pattern and it'll be awesome. So we sampled the pattern. This was a pattern that we looked into but ended up not going with. It just felt a little bit, like I said, again, like kind of younger than we were going for. So we sampled the same exact bottoms. I said, keep everything the same. The only thing we're changing is adding a pattern to the fabric. And I got these and they fit so different compared. I'll slide them on. These were so crazy. Like it was so bad. What on earth? What on earth? Guys, I can't even wear this like high-waisted if I tried. It won't, it's giving me, I don't know if you can see, it is so, it's not working. Like, and this was supposedly the same exact size. This is where this would fit comfortably, and that is not giving anything. So this was supposed to be the same size as the black sample. And so I was like, what happened? Well, something that happens with manufacturing when you use custom prints, the certain colors and certain prints and dyeing processes on certain materials can shrink the fabric. So this suit was completely cut the same as the solid black that fit amazing, but the printing process shrunk the fabric because all of these are custom, like dyed and custom colored and everything. So that heat process to transfer all of the patterns onto our fabric shrunk the fabric and everything fit horribly. So then I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do if someone orders a black bottom and a pattern bottom in a size small and they fit totally different? Obviously, we can't have that happen. So we had to scale up all of the patterned Isla suit bottoms. The Revi suit, we didn't really notice the printing shrinkage as much because of the tie straps, but with a suit that is supposed to sit high on your waist, you notice it. And this literally fit like an extra small, and this set us back so much. The Isla suit set us back a lot because we had to start pretty much over for the bottoms. I was like, okay, we have the first round in black that I loved, and then we started messing around with other stuff. So we started adding in some more custom details to this suit with this deep V through the front. You guys can kind of see that arch through there is like, it truly is like a really deep V on both the front, deep V, and the back. So we also wanted the leg to sit a little bit higher. So for comparison, I'll give you guys this. These are both technically a size small, but the blue one sits so much higher because the shrinkage. So we adjusted the shrinkage problem and it all ended up working out. But as we were going through it, I was like, okay, well, let's test the other patterns to make sure that they don't all shrink. And so we were testing out the capri pattern potentially to be used for the Revi suit. And I did know just from square one that I was gonna be doing black and that I was gonna do Santorini. Santorini is like my dream pattern. Like I just freaking love Santorini. I think it's so gorgeous. I love this blue pattern. And so we finally got the Isla suit bottoms to a place where they could sit super high-waisted without fitting too tight, and then also having that deep V and super high retro cut leg. The Revi suit, remember, if you follow me on Instagram, remember when I was in Portugal and I was like, I have to go to DHL, y'all. I went to literally 6 different DHLs in Portugal hunting down these samples that I got, this one and this one. came to me in Portugal because we needed to be able to approve the samples, but I had this family trip planned in Europe, and that's always how things go, right? As soon as you leave the country. So I tell my manufacturers, I'm like, I'm gonna be in Portugal, and I was in Lisbon for 4 days, and then we went to Sintra, and then we went to Porto. They arrived in Lisbon, and then we were already in Porto, so they had to get shipped to Porto, and then I had to go to it was such a hot mess. But if I didn't do that, these would not have been approved until I got back to the USA, which would have messed the timeline up. Like, these wouldn't have been able to launch until mid-August. So it was totally worth it, totally worth the craziness of going through everything, and freaking bopping around Portugal to get these samples. And it's honestly, it's fun to me. I love it. I literally love this process so much. But it was so funny. My family was like, you really have to go to 6 different DHLs right now. And I was like, I literally do. Otherwise, these packages won't get delivered. All right, so this is the Revi, no, this is the Isla top. And I like the Isla top because I haven't really seen it before. I think that it's easy to make, you know, when you see a bikini and you're like, I have seen that bikini from 18 different companies, including 7 on Amazon. The Isla top is unlike anything else that I have seen before. So you guys know the details if you watched the full try on haul. It has the gold clasp detailing. We knew that we wanted to bring the gold in somewhere, and we decided to bring it back into the Isla suit. So the Isla suit has a dual band around the bust because I knew that the Revi suit wouldn't offer too much support. So I wanted the Isla suit to be able to have that like lift and push aspect through those adjustable straps and through that double band. So this whole thing right here is a support band around the bust. If you watch the try on haul, there's more details on that. And then we also had to play around with the cup pad locations. So the original cup pad location, and I touched on this in the try on haul, the original cup pad location looked like this, and it had just a big opening, which was fine when the cup pad was in there, right? But as soon as you put the bathing suit on, you could see that liner coming through. So we had to adjust the cup pad location so that it was in the corner. And so this was our first sample of it in the corner. And it kind of felt a little bit too easy to take out. And so we kept it in the corner, but what we did was shrunk down that hole so that it was so small that if you ever washed your bathing suit, which obviously I'm begging you to hand wash these, but I know I'm like the same as you guys. Like I always throw shit in the dryer and the washer. Hopefully you hand wash, but if you don't, we left these cup pads so small. So look at the difference between this round here, just that little round, and then this round here, way bigger here. If we left it this big, the cup pads probably would have shifted around a little bit, maybe would have fallen out in the dryer or the washer, but we shrunk down those cup pads, made them super manageable, and also keeping them super small helps prevent the cups from sliding around. So the Revi top, or sorry, the Isla top really did not take too many rounds of samples because it just, straight out the gate, it fit awesome, which was a relief to me because usually, as you know, things take many rounds of samples. Activewear usually takes me like, depends nowadays, but like 6 to 8 rounds of samples. Swim took, I don't even know, like 20. And then the Isla suit really only took maybe 6, so not too bad. And this is just our final Isla top. It has the really pretty strappy details, abstract shape when you're wearing it, gold clasp detailing, rejected pattern here. And I also wanted to just show you guys some of the other patterns that we played with, and if there's any of them that you absolutely love and you're like, oh my gosh, Steph, like why didn't you use this? I would love to hear from you guys to see if there's anything you'd want to see in the future or anything like that. So I'm gonna grab the little fabric swatches for the patterns, and I'll be right back. When our manufacturers sent us the patterns, they come on huge custom templates like this, and they're just basically giant sheets with patterns on them. So these were some of the patterns that were considered, and you can kind of see that Santorini's up here, and then none of the other ones on this sheet were selected. This was one of my favorites. This would have been Revi with the pink, the soft pink that you saw on the other side. And then we played around with the swirly. I thought the swirly was fun, but it felt a little bit younger than we wanted. Absolutely hated the orange. And then we also had these as little options. So you can kind of see that same pattern that I loved before. And then the one pattern that got rejected. And then this one got rejected. Here's good old Santorini up there. We played around with the idea of a Revi suit with this swirly black and white. On the opposite side would be just black. And then this pattern right here, you guys saw, but it ended up getting rejected. And then this was our first real look at the pattern Sahara, and we loved it. Then down here we had Vienna, and then this one got rejected. These swirls got rejected, and then this is Capri. So I think these swirls are the perfect little opportunity to show you something. So I showed you everything. You see how there's 3 boxes of all these colors? Well, if you look super, super close, you can kind of see they're numbered like 1, 2, 3. This side is less colorful than this side. So the colors have a little gradient here. So this box number 3 is the most potent colors. They're the brightest, they're the strongest colors, and they fade down into box 1. So from a manufacturing standpoint, I was able to select the brightness of each individual pattern or the boldness, and you can kind of see where we cut out for Sahara and Vienna. We went with maximum brightness for those, as well as our little Santorini up top. We went with maximum brightness too. And that's Santorini up close. I don't know, guys. Can you tell me if you hate this? Because I think I like it, but I don't know. Like, I feel like I like it. I like that one. With the opposite side being pink, I think that would be so cute. But tell me if you guys like that. I don't know. Maybe in the future we could bring her back. So these are the massive sheets of little pattern samples that we ran with. I also want to point out something here. Lots to consider through the sampling process. This is Santorini, right? But the size was way off. So compared to this size Santorini. So lots of things to consider, whether it's the size or the brightness or the shape or the location of the circles. There was just so much to consider. So that is it. That is all of the details for the design process for the different swimsuits that we'll be launching tomorrow. I hope that this video kind of helped you see our mentality going through each design and how to improve them to really fit an actual body and actually shape you in appropriate ways that are still super flattering. And there was just so much thought and precision and effort that went into these suits. So I just wanted to really be able to show you with literal tangible examples that these are custom made. Like, these were so thoughtfully curated. Not one aspect of these suits was just, we found it in a manufacturer's catalog, we chose it, we changed the color, and we shipped it out, because that is a really common practice in the e-commerce or clothing business. So a lot of times when you get a product and you're like, this doesn't feel like it was made for, like, who wears this? How does someone wear this? Probably because that product was not custom designed. It wasn't a cut and sew product. It was probably just purchased in bulk, throw a label on it, send it out the door. So Liaison is not and never will be that brand who just sends you products that you could get anywhere. These products are they're like my children. Like, I love, like, they're so important to me. Like, every single aspect, every single design, every single pattern, every single width of a strap, like, there was not one detail that went into this design process that ignored or didn't care about. So I hope that when you guys order these suits, you can see all of the thought that went into them, and just know that even if you don't shop this swim launch, I hope that this was just a fun little video to watch and see how my brain works on the design end, because something I was always super interested in when I would be shopping from other brands. So I wanted to kind of let you guys in the behind the scenes and show you everything. And I'm also just so proud of these suits. So if you shop tomorrow, just know I love you, I appreciate you, and you are going to look so hot. If shopping tomorrow isn't in your budget currently, just know I love you, I appreciate you, and you're still gonna look hot anyways. But tomorrow at noon Eastern time, Liaison Swim officially launches, and I would love to see you on the site at noon. So if you have any other questions, feel free to DM me or DM the Liaison account, and someone will get back to you. But that's all I got for you. That's all she wrote.